Teleso 4G, just a touch. In this edition, Western region now identified as the hotspot for the spread of COVID-19 as infections continue to soar within the region.
The new hotspot is in Western region, who reported about 57 new cases.
We'll bring you details as a team of experts is deployed to the region to help undertake contact tracing, isolation, and of course treatment. 6 police officers test positive for COVID-19 in the central region.
All of them were infected in the line of duty.
Now, landlord who shot and killed tenant over rent issues remanded in police custody by the Abeka District Court to allow screening of suspect for COVID-19 and further investigations.
As I said, I wouldn't like to have no comment unless legal representation, but as I'm here, I acted in self-defense.
We have details in sports.
Government open to the idea of playing football matches behind closed doors. That's according to Deputy Sports Minister Perry Okujetu.
And on Spotlight today, how do you combine a career in nursing and music in an era of COVID-19? We are up close with Afrobeats and R&B artist KD Bakes, who is inspiring many young people with his craft.
Baby, you they make sense. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Girl, they make me want to dance it. Oh yeah.
I think the industry has been very fair, and the fact that I am a health worker, actually, it's inspiring to a lot of young people.
Lolo, what she love. Lolo, yeah, you got it. But it can make man tire. It can make man crumble.
That and more coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Thanks for your company. Do stay for details. And the Ghana Health Service says it's identified the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis as a new hotspot for the spread of the coronavirus. That's not all. The service says infection in the mining town of Takwa have also soared. In the last updates, the Western region recorded 57 new cases within 24 hours. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji, gave details of the country's infections at the COVID-19 news conference in Accra.
The new hotspot is in Western region, who reported about 57 new cases. And these are currently we're going to do, because they look at one of the new hospitals are surging, is mainly the Takoradi, Sekondi Takoradi municipality and Metropolis and then Takwa. So a team will be going there to see how we can quickly assist the region to bring it under control the same way we did in Obuasi. Even though the region has already isolated and identified, they self-isolated the people and are doing enhanced contact tracing to create containment.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji there. My colleague Komla Adum was at the news conference. He joins me in studio with more. A number of updates were given, Komla, but let's start with our current case count.
Well, Emefa, yes. So we have 156 new cases since the last update on the 23rd of May this year, and currently we have 6,964 cases with 2,097 recoveries. We also have 10 regions recording new cases out of the 16 regions, and we also have the Savannah region recording its very first case since the outbreak of the COVID-19. We can listen to Dr. Patrick Abuaji give a breakdown of these.
As of 24th of May 24th, total of about 156 new cases have been recorded in Ghana, and this goes to show the new trend of showing much fewer cases. The cases were identified in 5 out of the 16 regions. That are contributing about 72 new cases. Western region 57, Central region 13 cases. Volta region reported an increase in 10, and Ashanti recording probably the lowest figure ever of 4 new cases in a day.
Now let's get into the regional breakdown.
Yeah, Emefa. So the Greater Accra region had 72 new cases. The Western region, which we have been told the new hotspot, had 57 new cases, and the Volta region had 10 new cases. Also, the Central region had 13 new cases, and the Ashanti region had 4 new cases.
Now, we know there's also a meeting on the use of hydrochloroquine after the WHO indicated it's temporarily suspending the use of the drug over certain concerns. Let's talk about it more.
Yeah, MFR. So the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji, mentioned that the COVID case management team is currently holding a meeting. They're going to be considering some of the recommendations that have come through. He also asked that they are yet to receive an official communication from the WHO as to whether they should also suspend the use of the hydroxychloroquine, I beg your pardon. And we know from what the health officials tell us that they only use the hydroxyl on people who have severe and critical cases, so they are not used on the people who are moderately ill. You can listen to him.
The WHO currently, in a news item, have discontinued the use of hydroxychloroquine on safety grounds. As I speak now, of course, we wait for the formal communication, but the case management team now are meeting to take a decision on what to do. We only use it for critical cases. We don't use it for routine cases. Those who are being managed at home do not take hydroxychloroquine. So the case management team is, as we speak, in a meeting to quickly take a decision on what we do.
Now, Kobla, you raised questions about why we have health workers being infected, those in the line of duty, and of course the issues about cost of treatment and also our returnees from Kuwait. What answers did you get?
So, Emefa, to the answer about the cost of those who return from Kuwait, the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister mentioned that Ghana didn't bear the cost of transporting them from Kuwait to Ghana. He said that the Kuwaiti officials were responsible solely for first chartering the aircraft and then getting the people, the 230 individuals, to Accra, Ghana. The only part that he mentioned that Ghana is bearing some cost is the feeding of the individuals and the quarantining of the same individuals. We also heard from the Health Service Director General, who said that 230 people, their samples have been taken. They are expecting the results from those samples sometime during the week, so they can know the way forward. And then also there was a question about health workers who continue to be infected, as you mentioned. We heard from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association sometime last week that they had 288 of their members in quarantine, more than 50 of them having been infected with the virus. The Director General said, yes, it has come to their attention. They are very much concerned about it, and they are taking certain steps to ensure that they are minimally exposed to the disease.
To address that, we intensify the training, further training on infection prevention and control across the facility, especially outside the treatment centers where they are more careful. And we implore all to abide by these principles. We have also started training our mortuary workers and other workers who are likely to come close to this, and just to mitigate this matter. So it's something that is very good, and that's why we appreciated that was a race not only in Ghana, across the country, and that's why a lot of effort is being made to protect our health workers.
That's Patrick Kumabwaji, who is the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Let's head to the Central Region now, because 6 personnel of the Ghana Police Service and 2 community protection assistants has so far tested positive for the coronavirus. That's according to the Central Regional Commander, COP Paul Awini, speaking during a Zoom live disinfection of the regional police headquarters and other state security facilities. He stated that the men were infected in the line of duty after a high-risk COVID-19 operation.
In our quest to execute our constitutional mandate in helping to contain the COVID disease as frontline staff, we are doing our best despite the fact that we are exposed to risk of contracting the disease.
Were they infected in the line of duty?
All of them. All of them were infected in the line of duty because we can trace it. Most of them immediately after a high-risk COVID operation, they were tested. A group of people were tested, and some of them came out.
That's COP Paul Awini. He's the Central Regional Commander. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba is in the region. He joins us on the line. Maxwell, we are learning that apart from the infection of these police officers, 56 people also tested positive within 3 days in Elmina alone. This is raising concerns for the regional minister. Tell us more about it.
Yes.
We have a terrible connection to Maxwell Agbagba's line. We can listen to the Central Regional Minister whilst we reconnect to Maxwell.
Unfortunate thing about Maureen is that where we have had confirmed cases and we have had to follow up with contact tracing, those who have been contact traced, it's difficult getting them to put them on the quarantine area. And unfortunately, for the entire town, you have individuals who rise up in their support. So first, they themselves are not ready to be placed under quarantine. And second, you have young men who also rise up in the town and not ready to even where you have security to go in to permit for them to engage with them and to get them. So it's a real difficulty for us in Mauritius.
Now the Central Regional Minister Kwamina Duncan there speaking to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. Maxwell has rejoined us. So Maxwell, what exactly are they hoping to do about the situation, knowing that most of them are unwilling to cooperate with contact tracers as potential carriers of the disease refuse to be quarantined as well?
Well, the minister said down they resorted to community engagement, and he says personally this week he has been to the community many times with some opinion leaders to educate the residents on the need for them to respect the protocols that have been put in place and also cooperate with the contact tracers, because here is a concern that some of them, especially some of the residents, especially in Elmina and Marie, are not cooperating with contact tracers. There are instances where some community youth block the contact tracers from even accessing their communities, and he says that is creating a big problem and impeding their work.
Now, let's briefly touch on the disinfection exercise. We started off from the Western region. You are in the Central. Give us updates on it.
Yes, so the Central Regional Police Headquarters, and from there also the rise of the Dakar region.
We apologize for the poor quality there. Maxwell Agbagba's connection is really terrible. But Senior Minister Yao Safumafu says government will have a final round of meetings on Friday to determine how the easing of restrictions will be done to restore economic life. The Senior Minister, speaking after receiving 10 ventilators from P Wood Company Limited and Tema Bonded Warehouse, said Friday's meeting will climax a series of engagements with experts and other identifiable groups who have been making inputs on how to relax the restrictions which have affected economic and social life.
Almost all the identified groups who matter in this, like the chiefs, the churches, that have all had close discussions with us, and the group of our experts continue these discussions. On Friday, we'll put all of this together, and on best advice available, we'll make the various decisions. Don't forget that in Europe today, they are reducing the restrictions. Germany is reducing the restrictions. France is reducing. Even in the US, they are reducing the restrictions.
That's the Senior Minister Yao Safumafu. To Parliament now, where the Foreign Affairs Minister Shelley Ayoko-Boche says African countries are working to ensure the effective implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement despite the COVID-19 pandemic. My colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is there for us, but we'll get to him shortly. But let's listen to the Foreign Affairs Minister.
The clear and pragmatic roadmap to leapfrog Africa onto a deserving path to silence the gangs and to create economic growth and prosperity has regrettably been impacted by the emergence of the incapacitating COVID-19 pandemic. Thus far, almost 96,000 people have been infected, with almost 3,000 having lost their lives on the continent. Despite the relatively lower morbidity among African victims, COVID-19 has heightened uncertainty, and its impact on African economies has been quite disruptive.
That's the Foreign Affairs Minister Shelley Ayoko-Boche. They're delivering a statement on the floor to mark AU Day. My colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins us on the phone. So what else have MPs been saying?
MPs have generally been calling for African solutions to the problem of COVID-19. Some who is ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee and the chairman of that committee, Frank, another says the COVID-19 situation is an opportunity for Africa to better develop when it comes to digital innovation, the health sector, and even how to improve upon education is the way to survive it. So the conversations continue on the issue.
We apologize for the poor connection there. Looks like it's a network issue, and we're hoping that we can rectify it. But that's my colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. We'll stay on the phone lines hoping that we'll get lucky this time, because a 70-year-old farmer has hacked his nephew to death in his sleep at Apinkra, a small farming town in the Busumchi district of Ashanti. The suspect, Kofi Asamoah, shocked residents when he admitted to hacking his 41-year-old nephew repeatedly with a metal bar for being in his words, a thorn in his flesh. Erastus Asaridonko has been following this. Has he explained what he means by he's been a thorn in his flesh?
He says he constantly picks fight with him. Yesterday they had a disagreement, a scuffle, and he threw a stone at him.
and it got him so angry he wanted to have his revenge. And so whilst he was sleeping, he started hacking his head with the metal bar until blood started spilling all over the house, and part of his head and the skull has been divided into pieces of his teeth and other things are on the ground.
That's my colleague Erasto Sasari Donko. Let's head next door to the eastern region where 3 people have died in an accident at a north suburb of Insawam. Our correspondent Kofi Siao is on that beat. He joins us with more. Kofi Siao, what are the details?
Okay, so it involves a tipper truck and a Toyota Haze vehicle. The Toyota Haze vehicle, I'm told, was traveling from in Asamankese in the eastern region to Insawam, whilst the tipper truck was also heading from Insawam to Asamankese direction. So when they got to a point at Anof, the Toyota Haze, the police decided or attempted to overtake a vehicle in front of it, and it crashed into the tipper truck, which was heading from Insawam to Asamankese. So far, I'm told 3 people have been confirmed dead by the police, and 11 of them are in critical condition.
That's Eastern Region correspondent Kofi Siao. Now, the landlord who shot and killed his tenant over rent issues has been remanded in police custody by the Abeka District Court to be tested for COVID-19. Victor Steve Nanakankam allegedly shot and killed his tenant over his refusal to move out of a 2-bedroom apartment following the expiration of his rent. He was provisionally charged with murder to allow police to investigate the matter further. Adom FM's Mabna Dehomensa was in court today, and she joins us in studio with details. Mabda, walk us through what happened in court.
Yeah, so the suspect appeared in court clad in a yellow t-shirt and a black jean. And he appeared very quiet. He didn't talk. In fact, there was no expression on his face. And when the case was called, he went to stand in the witness stand. And then the prosecutor, Inspector Stephen Ahiafle, read out the charges and explained. His plea was not taken, but the judge made a declaration and said that he was to be remanded to police custody until the 8th of June to allow for COVID-19 tests to be done on the suspect and also to allow for the police to also go on with further investigations. So that is what went on. And family members of the victim, that's the tenant who was killed, were there in their numbers, friends, sympathizers, and they were clad in red and black. And when the suspect was being taken out of the court into the car, they were chanting, "God will punish you. Is this what you had to do to our brother who did nothing to you?" In fact, but for the presence of the police, I'm sure they would have attacked the suspect.
Mabna, we're grateful. She's been monitoring that story and will give us details subsequently. We'll take a quick break here on the Midday News. When we return, I have a spotlight, and also we know that the Western region has been identified as a hotspot for the spread of the coronavirus as infections continue to soar within the region. That's been our top story so far. But how do you combine a career in nursing and music in an era of COVID-19? We are up till with Afro beats and R&B artists. KD Bakes, who is inspiring many young people with his craft.
Baby, you they make sense. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Girl, they make me want to dance. Oh yeah.
I think the industry has been very fair, and the fact that I am a health worker, actually, it's inspiring to a lot of young people.
But it can make man tire. It can make man crumble.
And I also tell you the incredible story of a 95-year-old World War II veteran who has raised over £16,000 to support frontliners in the fight against COVID-19.
We went to Burma to fight a physical war. There you see the enemy. Now we are faced with another war, a visible war.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation over the past 45 years. We've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's time for sports, and Hans Mensando has just that.
And before we continue to explore the subject of whether the Ghana Premier League should be cancelled or not due to COVID-19, with some leagues around the world called off, others have resumed, but following strict health protocols. The GFA has not hidden their desire to continue the season should government lift the ban on public gathering. Deputy Minister for Sport, Perry Okujeto, has shared his views on this, and for him, the idea of the league being played behind closed doors is one that could be explored.
We would have to get to a point where government decides that it is okay to have public gatherings, because you know that for a football match to take place or any sporting activity to take place, it's not just the players. Yeah. There are players, the technical team, the stadium managers, there are all kinds of people who would come together to make a football match. So yes, the option of playing in empty stadia is fine. And when we get to that point and we think that is the best option for us in terms of making our game safe, it will be one of the options that we will consider. However, as we speak, that decision has not been taken.
So that was Deputy Minister of Youth and Sports, Perry Okujeto, who spoke on Beyond the Lockdown with Emefa Apawu. That was a good show. Lots of information.
We're following your footsteps, though, what you did on PM.
We'll see. And later, today, we'll be having that big game, the classic as is known, Borussia Dortmund up against Bayern Munich. Live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM.
How we miss it.
Definitely. And this promises to be a good one. Kind courtesy of Star Times, our sponsors.
Okay.
That's your sports.
Thank you very much, Hans. Now, the founder and president of Ashesi University, Patrick Ewa, says it will be a disaster if government reopens schools at a time the coronavirus continues to spread. He was speaking on the Joy Prime Morning Show's virtual policy forum together with others. Emmanuel Ante has the highlights.
As a school owner, Mr. Ewa is worried about a possible increase in spread of COVID-19 if students return to school under the current circumstance.
I would say that opening now is very difficult and probably should not be attempted. We should just say that we've lost a third term of the academic year. We should have a plan to get WASI grades generated for students who were in the third year this last academic year using continuous assessment. And let's not attempt to complete this academic year. Just take the next few months off as well.
But former Director General and Rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, Professor Stephen Adair, proposed a possible solution.
That we must distinguish in this case between the final years and the other students. I think that we should not rush with the non-final year students. In fact, for me, if they have to start the next academic year in January, we can manage it.
That's highlights of the virtual policy forum, first of its kind on the Joy Prime Morning with Daniel Dati. Now, from one show to the other, this time on the Joy News channel, the AM show with Roland Walker, the Executive Director of the Institute of Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, says the Electoral Commission should consider a limited registration for this year's polls. The major political parties disagree on the decision by the EC to compile a new register. You can listen.
If we reach a consensus that it should not be general registration but limited registration, could we then say that all 18-year-olds and those eligible but didn't register must have the Ghana card? Everybody who falls that range, because it's a limited number, about 1 million plus, as compared to 14 or 15. Could we then have a measure that says anyone who is now eligible to vote must have the Ghana card, and that's the standard card, and therefore NIA must make sure that it will pray so all 18-year-olds and eligibles must get that card. It solves the problem.
That's Dr. Emmanuel Akwete there. He was on the show together with the president of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, who reiterated his think tank's position that the exercise of compiling a new register is unnecessary. Political scientist Dr. Amachi was also on the show, and he's worried that electoral commissions over the years keep recompiling voters' registers. Situation, he says, is not good for the people. We can hear from the senior fellow at the CDD, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, who's also backed the suggestion for a limited registration to reduce the risk of mass infection.
I think what Dr. Akwete's point is on the options of whether you do a compilation of a new register or limited voter registration is a choice between bringing out 17 million people and 1.5 or 1 million to 1.5 million people. Obviously, 1.5 million at the upper limit is more manageable than 17 million.
That's Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante. Now, a lone surviving Ghanaian soldier from World War II has ended a walk to raise money for doctors and nurses at the front line of Ghana's COVID-19 response. Private Ayete Hammond, now 95 years, took inspiration from 100-year-old Captain Tom Moore. He too, a World War II veteran soldier who has recently walked to raise millions in donations for Britain's National Health Scheme. Joy News' Justice Beidou followed him all week. Here's his report.
My name is Joseph Ashitai Hammond. I was born 10th May 1925. During my school days, whenever I saw soldiers, I was always inspired.
Private Hammond is one of the last men standing, one of the very few with first-hand account of how the Second World War happened.
There was one time when the Japanese actually came in hundreds. Once you are hearing it means human beings falling.
Now, 75 years after the war, he set his eyes on another battle, coronavirus, working to raise funds to support the men and women at the forefront of Ghana's response against the global pandemic.
Now we are faced with another war. You won't see the enemy, but the enemy will attack you. So this is why I've decided to raise plenty of money to enable us to help the frontline workers.
Over a week, Private Hammond has been joined on his adventure by British envoy Ian Walker, hip life legend Ochiame Kwame, and movie star Jocelyn Dumas.
We walked 2 miles. I reckon he could have walked 20 more. Quite an incredible man.
The military cemetery sits quietly only a few meters from the Oxford Street where Private Hammond has been walking all week. And it is here, in between the lush greens and the eerie quietness, that Ghana's fallen soldiers lie. Some stood in battle with him.
Justice Beidou's report. You can watch the full report on our social media platforms. It's time for entertainment.
Yes, Emefa, and on Spotlight today, he is a registered nurse with the Richard Novati Catholic Hospital in the Volta region, helping in the fight against COVID-19. But he finds time to do music as well, R&B, and Afrobeat artist KD Bake says he hopes to inspire his generation by staying the course and helping Ghana contain the virus. He is on Spotlight today.
Baby, you they make sense. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Girl, they make me want to dance. Oh yeah.
I go by the name KD Bakes, aka Still the Melody to Kill You. I'm an Afrobeat, R&B artist and a songwriter. Plus, I'm a professional registered nurse practicing at Richard Novati Hospital in the Volta region.
My vibration, my African queen, my sexy lady,
it is an industry that is saturated with so many talents, but to be talented alone is not enough. Afrobeat and R&B artist KD Bakes knows this so well.
It's been a lot of pressure from the work side, considering the fact that I'm part of the frontline health workers working in the emergency room.
I go spend more money 'cause you do me. I want grace for your love 'cause you do me.
It is the reason, despite his day job as a registered nurse, the Carry Me Away hitmaker is pushing hard to realize his music dream.
The fact that I am a health worker, actually, it's inspiring to a lot of young people. They wonder how I'm able to blend my health job and the music, which is all time consuming.
The 27-year-old, born Bruku Wisdom, who went solo from then Bells Music, hopes to take his career to another level. His new extended play record was inspired by his life.
I wrote this EP actually with inspiration coming from diverse sides, from my personal life and from the lives of other people in my surrounding as a whole.
KD Bakes.
And it's only a Bobu that can do this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I get it.
Bobu Poga.
But but you can find the TV version on Joy News today.
Yeah.
On Joy News.
Okay. So. Thank you very much, Becky. Hope to see you tomorrow with another edition of Spotlight on the Midday News. And that's it for the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Dr. Mensah Otabil has living word. Please stay.